gonna regret this. Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name is Carol and this is Pattern Encyclopedia, where I talk about all things knitting and sometimes crochet. Thank you for tuning into my first ever YouTube video. And for my first ever video, I wanted to make something that I really love watching myself, which is those series, everything that I've knit or made or crocheted. So this is going to be everything that I've made so far. So it's mostly going to be knit items, but there are a few crochet items as well, just because I did know how to knit first and I sort of more recently learned how to crochet. So I've got a huge list in my notepad here and a large pile of things as well, and I'm just gonna jump right into it. So let's go ahead and get started. The first project I ever made was this knit scarf. I wanted more of like a blanket scarf, like a larger, thicker scarf. My friend had been trying to get me to learn how to knit for the longest time, and I finally asked her to teach me when we were kind of mid-pandemic, and I was in Zoom classes that I just like couldn't focus in, and I needed something to do while I was in class. So she taught me how to knit. She was nice enough to let me pick out any yarn I wanted from her stash for my first project. So I picked out this really pretty self-striping yarn, and I don't even know what brand it was. I just picked it because it was beautiful. I think that's one of the reasons that I wear this so much is because of the color. It's really a very basic scarf. Like, it's just garter stitch all the way. And yeah, it's nothing special, but because it's so simple and the colors are so beautiful, I get a lot of wear out of this in the fall and the winter. And if you're thinking about learning how to knit, I would definitely recommend a scarf or something similar where you're just repeating over and over, because it really helped me to get sort of my tension figured out. Overall, I'm really proud and happy with this scarf, especially for a first project. So the second thing I made is actually a blanket, which I don't know if I finished this second, but I did start this second, and it's this huge sort of lacy pattern blanket, and I don't know if you can see just how huge it is. Let me show you. Like, it is, it takes up the whole screen. It's huge. I got a little bit carried away when I was making this. I just, like, once I got into the groove, like, this was my go-to project if I just wanted to, like, mindlessly knit in class or, like, while watching something. So I just kept going and going and going, and maybe a little bit overboard with it. You can never have too big of a blanket. It's super cozy, and also a really good second project, again, because I was just repeating over and over. It just helped me, like, really solidify my tension. So I use this all the time. It's really pretty decorative and as like an actual lap blanket. So there's that. So after I made the blanket, I started kind of getting into this state of like wanting to make things that I could wear. And so, hold on. So, thus began the start of my scrunchie knitting obsession. These are just some of the scrunchies I made in that period of my knitting career. I thought I wanted to sell them, which is why I made so many colors, but then I realized like the effort that went into knitting a single scrunchie was like definitely not worth selling. So I do have a pattern for these. I made it because I didn't like any of the patterns that I found. I wanted something with lighter yarn, and that was like a bit more fine. So I came up with this, and I really like them. I still use the pattern. So recently I wanted a brown scrunchie just because. So I whipped one up, and it's just really cool to be able to make your own scrunchies. So that was my knitting scrunchie obsession. I have since moved past that. I still knit scrunchies on occasion, but definitely not as much as I used to. So the next thing that I made was a knit hat, and this one is with Caron Simply Soft. and it is not very good. You can tell it's my first hat. Like, the seaming is just horrid. And also, like, you can see I messed up. I messed up the 2x2 ribbing, like, twice. So you can see that it changes where I was like, I did knit, knit, rib, rib, or sorry, knit, knit, purl, purl, and then I just decided to switch it. And that was when I didn't really understand like the difference between knits and purls when looking at my work. So I like couldn't tell when I messed up. So yeah, that's an interesting one. So I also just wanted to show off another one that I made. This was like right after the first one, and there was already so much improvement. But there is just like a giant hole in the top. I don't know if you can see that. So realistic, few first knits are not going to be perfect. So next up, I have my first ever clothing item, which is this knit t-shirt. And this pattern is from Darling J'adore. They're on Etsy. I don't really hear about them a lot. I don't know why, if there's a reason for that. Like, people just don't like their shop, or they're not very popular. I don't know, but if you know, or if there's a reason, let me know in the comments. But I really like their patterns, and this one was pretty nice. It turned out well for a first shirt. This was my first time doing German short rows, which honestly, they look pretty good. And then I didn't know how to block this shirt at the time, so you can see the edges fold up, which is the failure and also saving grace of this shirt. It's a failure because the edges are folded up, but it's the saving grace because the edges are consistently folded up, so it makes it look almost like it's supposed to be that way. So it's still wearable, I still wear it. I used I think it's like Comfy Cotton Blend by Lion Brand yarn, and it's a bit heavier than I would like for a t-shirt, but it is still wearable and I do wear it pretty often. So that kind of kicked off my clothing knitting journey, which is what I like to knit most. So the next thing I made, I wanted to try my hand at a sweater. So this is also from the same shop, Darling J'adore on Etsy, and it's like this oversized sweater, and I knit this in a size medium, which I'm typically a size small, and the pattern is already oversized, so it just made it absolutely ginormous. Honestly, I still wear this quite often. Like, when I first knit it, I was really proud that I just like even made a sweater, so I would wear it all the time. Now I mostly wear it like to bed, or like in a situation where I want something toasty and don't really care what I look like. So yeah, it's still really comfy and I get a lot of use out of it. I just used the Caron 1 pound for this, so it's an acrylic yarn from the craft store, which, I mean, you can tell, but honestly, like, it's not terrible quality. I don't know, I still like it and I wear it a lot. Pretty good for my first sweater, I think. My biggest complaint about this pattern was the length of the arms. Like, they were way too short on me. And my first time through, I didn't want to adjust it just because I didn't really know what I was doing. But you'll see me address that here in a minute. So the next thing I made was the second version of that first sweater. So I used the same pattern, but I made all of my preferred modifications. I didn't like the short neckline on the other one, so I lengthened this one. I didn't like the shorter sleeves, so I lengthened the sleeve length. And I also actually added a structured cuff, so the neckline on this pattern is folded over. It's like a folded brim that you might see on like a hat, which adds like a nice structure. And I really wanted to try that on the sleeves, so I did, and they turned out really well. And I love that. I also cropped this one a bit shorter and made it in a size small instead of medium. And I definitely get way more wear of this in public than the other one. This one's like genuinely really cute, and I just really like the color as well. This is, I think it's the Heartland yarn by Lion Brand. That might be wrong, but it's really beautiful, and I am proud about this one as well. So the next thing I made is this sort of bralette-esque thing. I don't know. I saw a picture on like Pinterest or something of someone who had made something similar, and I couldn't find a pattern that I liked, so I was just like, I'll just make something up. So I did. I made this up, and it's just very basic, like a tube with straps. I don't get a ton of wear out of this just because it's made with acrylic yarn, which gets really hot. And I mean, the main time I would want to wear this would be in the summer. So I honestly wear this more than anything in the winter under like a sweater or something. But besides that, not the best project. I think this was the first time I really learned of the importance of choosing your yarn carefully because, you know, this would have been a lot better with like a cotton yarn or something. So the next thing I made was socks. I was at this point where I just wanted to learn everything that there was to learn with knitting, like just absorbing all of the info and learning all of the things. So I thought, you know, socks are intimidating, let's give it a go. And I followed this really spectacular pattern that has like a video tutorial along with it. I'll link it down below because if you are nervous about knitting your first pair of socks, this video is chef's kiss. Like, it is perfect. I didn't know what I was doing, and I ended up with 2 socks that look like socks, and I wear them. So yeah, she does a great job. It was so helpful. And right after I made the first pair, I made a second pair. Honestly, my first pair turned out a bit better in terms of them actually fitting my feet. I think I was using a looser tension because in my first pair they were a bit too tight. So I wanted to try to loosen that a bit, but I ended up doing it a little bit too much. But again, both of these socks are great, or both of these pairs of socks are great, and I wear them a lot. It's just really fun to be able to knit your own socks. I don't know why, I just think it's so fun. And I also had like all of that scrunchie yarn left over. I used the fingering weight yarn, and I was like, I just need to get rid of this, so socks it was. I used double pointed needles for these, and I don't know, I didn't really enjoy it very much. I think I might try a different method of sock knitting in the future, just because it really wasn't for me, so I don't know, we'll see. So after my socks is about when I learned how to crochet. So my sister taught me how to crochet, and if you're a knitter thinking about learning how to crochet, I would say just do it. A lot of the skills you learn in knitting are really translatable. I feel like knitting has a lot harder concepts in some ways, and so moving from knitting to crochet is like pretty easy in my opinion. So the first thing I made, besides these little, you can see in the background, these little squares, these little granny squares were my experiments, but the first thing I actually made was this bucket hat. Try it on for you. It's just this floral little bucket hat. I saw all these people on TikTok making them, and I thought they were the cutest thing I ever saw. And I honestly wear this quite a bit. Like, if I ever want to wear something a little funky with my outfit, I'll throw that on, and it's really fun, so I love that. And then the next thing I crocheted was this little bandana. Here's what it looks like, and I'll try to insert a clip of me wearing it as well. But it's just like a little bandana, and it's actually quite small. Like, I'm pretty sure I did the pattern wrong, because it just is tiny, but I like this pattern a lot. Again, I followed a YouTube tutorial for this one, and I was confused simply because I had just learned how to crochet. So when I made this pattern a second time, it made a lot more sense to me. Even the first time through, I was able to make this. So the next thing I made was the Boxy cardigan by Friday Knits. I really wanted to start making some pieces for summer. This was more recent. I just really wanted to try my hand at summer knitting, and I think it turned out pretty good. This was the first time I tried blocking, and I should have tried on a swatch before I just jumped into trying different things on the shirt, because this shirt is just like permanently deformed. And you can kind of tell, like, my last button on it is like sideways almost, and it's just like a mess. But overall, the Boxy cardigan, like, I think is so cute, and I still wear this one all the time. So the next thing I made is what I'm wearing. It's a second version of the Boxy cardigan, by Friday Knits, and I love this one way more. I kind of made the necessary edits and blocked it the way that I had learned from the first one, and so this one turned out a lot better, but I do still wear both of them. But yeah, I really, really love this shirt. Like, if I could wear this every day, I would 100%. And the pattern itself was pretty easy to follow as well. I had never made a cardigan before, or like a cardigan design, and so I was nervous, but it turned out really well. And for both of these shirts, I used the Respun yarn by Lion Brand. It's like a 100% recycled polyester yarn, and it's my favorite craft store yarn that I found. I'll probably make a video down the road talking about my favorite craft store yarns, but yeah, I really love how this one turned out, and I'm really excited to make more cardigans in the future. So the next thing I made was yet another crochet bandana. This one I had some scrap yarn left over from the first t-shirt I made, and I just wanted to get rid of it. So this is the same pattern as the first bandana I made, but you can see it's like way bigger because I messed up the first one and didn't even realize it. So this is like the proper, as far as I know, the proper way to knit it, or sorry, crochet it, but yeah, it turned out good. I wear them both. Cottage core vibes, very cute, and very wearable. So the last and final, most recent thing that I've made is this knit cross body bag. So this is a tote bag I designed. I'm still like in the process of deciding whether or not I want to release a pattern for it, but it's just this really cute tote bag with these details on it, and I love it. I wear it all the time. It gives me very much like farmer's market vibes. I really love how this turned out. I'm in the process of making another one, just testing out different things with the straps, and we'll see. So that was the last thing I had to show you all. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. Like I said, I had quite the haul to share with you guys, so I'm really, really proud of the things that I've made so far and really excited to continue making things in the future. If you liked this video, be sure to like, subscribe if you're interested in more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!